Please be ready for a dictation of transcription number 465 and a part of 466 from Sir Kailash Chandra magazine as per the Rajasthan SSB guidelines. 5 seconds. Start. Madam Deputy Chairman, I rise to support the concept of a national housing policy, but I am afraid I cannot lend my wholehearted support to the policy as it has been framed. Stop. Madam Deputy Chairman, housing is an issue which should not be looked upon from a partisan angle, and I want to make it very clear right in the beginning. Stop. I will try, and it will be my effort not to introduce any politics into this question. Stop. I want members of both the sides to rise above petty, partisan considerations and discuss this fundamental question, this basic issue in the spirit in which this House should discuss it. Stop. Para. Having said this, Madam, I would like to state in the beginning that I am extremely disappointed by the manner in which this document has been drafted and presented to the House. Stop. I must confess to this disappointment truly and genuinely. Stop. This is an effort on the part of the government to evolve a national housing policy, and it is not a shelter policy. Stop. There is a wide difference between shelter and housing, and this is something which has to be clearly understood. Stop. Housing constitutes a physical matrix in which human interaction occurs. Stop. The houses that people live in touch upon almost every facet of their life and of the society as a whole. Stop. Housing therefore, is not only a social or an economic issue, but it is also a major sociological factor which determines the kind of society that we want to build up and the quality of life of the people who live in that society, who are members of that society. Stop. Therefore, Madam, the first point that I would like to make is that when we are discussing the housing policy, we cannot discuss shelter in isolation. Stop. The housing policy must include within its ambit the overall economic policy of the government. Stop. There must be an indication of the policy frame in which we propose to solve this problem, which is an essential part when we are discussing the national housing policy. Stop. This is the first deficiency which I noticed in this document. Stop. It does not deal with the policy frame, the economic policy frame, in which we propose to tackle this problem. Stop. Para. We are talking of slums and we are talking of the pressure on housing or the lack of it in the urban areas. Stop. Now, can we talk about it without discussing the shift of population from the rural to the urban areas? Question mark. Can we talk about it without discussing the kind of economic progress in which we are entering? Question mark. I am sure that the Honorable Minister is aware of this position, that the Honorable members of this House are aware of this position, that in the last few years, there has been a tremendous growth in the service sector of our economy. Stop. And what has been the result of that? question mark. The service sector, which includes hotels, tourism, insurance, and such other forms of economic activity, has attracted large numbers of people into the urban areas. In fact, the rate of urbanization in this country is a part of our economic development, but it is extremely alarming in its proportion. If this is going to be the kind of influx into our cities from the rural areas, then it is very clear that in the urban areas, the entire structure is going to collapse under the weight of the influx, and unless, therefore, we have a policy frame which reduces the drift from the rural areas into the urban areas, talking about housing either in the rural areas or in the urban areas does not have any meaning. As a result of that pull, a lot of people are coming into the cities, and on the other hand, there is a push effect in the rural areas because agriculture is lagging behind and unemployment is increasing in the villages, and the people are bound to move into the cities. Therefore, madam, the first question which I would like to ask the minister is in what manner this policy envisages to curb this trend of movement of the rural people into the urban areas, because providing amenities to the urban areas, it is well known, is far more expensive than giving the amenities and the facilities in the rural areas. So, this is my first point. Para. The second is that the policy does not define, Madam Deputy Chairman, the size of the problem either as it exists today or the size of the problem as it is going to be in the future. The minister has just now claimed, by mentioning various figures, achievements which the government has made. But I would like to say that so far in the last 40 years, the government is merely tinkering with the problem. We have only touched the margin of it. We have never cared to get to the core of the problem. This policy document, if it is implemented, will only be marginally touching the problem. Para. Mr. Vice Chairman, Sir, as a basic human need, shelter comes next only to food and clothing. Even the early man discovered caves to seek shelter against the vagaries of nature. Today, with rising population, many of the developing countries have to cope with and suffer malnutrition, disease, illiteracy and hunger. Yet, it is the housing problem which seems to be the most intraceable one. About 1/4 of the world's population is either houseless or lives in abysmally poor and unhealthy environment. In India, sir, according to the 1981 census, 2 lakh urban households and another 4 lakh rural households have been without shelter. Taking into account the overcrowding and the awful congestion and the need to replace the kacha houses and repair the degraded and dilapidated ones, the actual housing deficit is to the tune of 59 lakhs in urban areas and 188 lakhs in rural areas. Stop.